the Election Commission is not only trying to steal the next general election by gerrymandering constituencies to UMNO's advantage, it is systematically impeding the registration of new voters in Malaysia. I think you have heard some of those just now. We have statistically and empirically compiled that there is only one winner in the newly proposed redelineation of parliamentary and state constituencies in the Election Commission, by the Election Commission. Wherever possible, marginal UMNO seats are strengthened with which, what am I writing? Marginal UMNO seats are strengthened and marginal UMNO opposition-held constituencies are weakened by shifting in core BN supporters from neighbouring constituencies. However, the EC is also the only institution who can register new voters in the country, and they are proactively stalling and impeding the registration of new voters. As at April this year, there are 17.6 million qualified voters in Malaysia. However, only 13.4 million of them are registered, while 4.2 million remain disenfranchised. This means that nearly 1 in 4 voters are not able to exercise their rights enshrined in the Constitution if an election is called today. Okay? Instead of making concrete and concerted efforts in collaboration with all parties, okay, political parties, NGOs, civil society, etc., to increase the number of voters registered, the EC is doing its utmost to slow down new registrations. Firstly, the Election Commission has stopped the appointment of AROs, Assistant Registration Officers, from political parties to assist with the registration exercise since 2013. So since the last election, no more AROs. In 2011 and 2012, there were 5,720 and 4,777 appointed as AROs. Today, the numbers are negligible and they have not been replaced with any other institutions to perform the same task. The impact is very big. In 2011 alone, 1,023,170 Malaysians were registered as new voters. So there were 1 million registered, more than 1 million registered in 2011 alone. But after elections, 2013 to 2015, only 617,000 were registered, which means an average of only 205,000 voters per annum. Compare that against 2011, 1 million voters. Okay, so that's 5 times less. At this rate, the number of unregistered voters will only increase exponentially as there are more than 500,000 new qualified voters every year, purely because of population. So everyone becoming 21, every year there's more than 500,000 new qualified voters. So they're only registering 200. So 300,000 will become qualified voters who are not registered. That total number of qualified voters not registered will only increase, okay, as the years go by. As political parties are unable to have AROs to register voters, we have been told by Election Commission that they will be able to assign their officers to assist us with our voter registration campaign. So when we see them, they say, don't worry, you know, you have no AROs, but whenever you want to do anything, just call us, we will come. They tell us, call us, we will come. But you heard from Hannah just now, we face all sorts of problems. You know, first, they said we have only enough resources for 1 per weekend, when we can actually organize 5 every weekend. So we don't have to do 1 mall per weekend. We can do 5 malls every weekend. And because they are malls, every weekend different people come on. Okay, we can't. We can only do 1 per weekend. And then they'll give you conditions like you cannot have it at night. You know, or you cannot have it in Pasar Malam, you cannot have it in Pasar Pagi. You know, reasons you guess lah. Okay, despite the restrictions, the DAP cooperated and focused our joint campaigns with the Election Commission in air-conditioned comforts of shopping malls. So we focus on shopping malls lah, got air condition, so they are willing to come. Okay, however, to our disappointment and despite repeated formal and informal reminders to bring sufficient forms, the Election Commission officials under instruction bring only a limited number of forms. Okay. As a result, our voter registration booths at the malls had to close early, and hundreds, if not thousands, actually thousands of qualified voters each time were left disappointed. Now the EC, Election Commission, has officially informed us to cancel all of our planned voter registration campaign after the 3rd October, purportedly because they are now have to focus on other things such as handling objections to the proposed redelineation exercise. Even when we asked the unregistered voters to head to the nearest post office, we have often heard the inexcusable complaints about lack of forms or system down, etc. Okay? At best, the action of the Election Commission show that they are incompetent and abdicating their responsibilities to ensure qualified voters are able to exercise their constitutionally enshrined right to vote. At worst, they are clearly sabotaging the electoral process by denying these voters their basic rights. Why do they target these new voters or deny these voters their rights? It's because younger and newer voters as a whole have no loyalty to UMNO or Barisan Nasional. A substantial majority of them have proven in the past to be inclined to vote for the opposition. That's why they don't want new voters to register. Because the more new voters register, the more threatened they are, especially UMNO, Barisan Nasional, and Election Commission cannot have that. We call upon the Election Commission to be serious about the registration of new voters, since they have persistently refused the proposal of automatic voter registration. If it is unable to carry out its responsibilities on its own, then it should start using its powers to appoint thousands of AROs across the country. 4 million plus unregistered voters. Okay, I'm sure if you appoint, say, 3,000 AROs across the country, you will solve that problem in a year. They refuse. Okay, the EC would do well to remember its own mission stated on their malware-infested website that is, mereka mendukung sistem demokrasi berparlimen dan menjamin hak rakyat untuk memilih wakil mereka. So this is a jaminan daripada Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya, okay, untuk menjamin hak rakyat memilih wakil mereka. So they must allow these voters or help these voters to register dan mengurus, mengawal selia dan mengendali pilihan raya secara bebas dan adil. Clearly, what they have done so far has nothing to do with bebas or adil. Hence, they should stop acting like UMNO's henchmen to rig the electoral outcome.